Welcome to tonight's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Taiwan Jabela, your host for tonight. Let's quickly look at the front page of today's Namibian Sun. So in this segment tonight, I'm joined on Skype by Councillor of Walvis Bay Urban constituency, Knowledge Ipinge, to speak to us about his work there in Walvis Bay. Welcome to the show, Councillor.
No, thank you for having me twice.
Yes, yes. Man, to start with, maybe just tell us, Councillor, what was the motivation in January this year when you stood as an independent candidate? Was it because the constitution of the country allows you to stand as an independent, or did you think that as a matter of principle you couldn't run on a Swapo ticket because you're a Swapo member also?
Initially, what prompted me to run was actually political tribalism, and then the exploitation of the Walvis Bay residents since the reintegration.
And how do you think the anger of the people of Walvis Bay, because we have seen a trend of a protest in the voters of Walvis Bay from November last year already to, of course, again in January when you stood. But how much do you think that anger played, that protest against the ruling party, Swapo, and government played in your favor?
Okay, me myself, I'm also a frustrated resident of Walvis Bay.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we know definitely the situation with the fishing, but also the informal traders within Walvis Bay.
Yes.
So what I did initially, I organized what is known as the Safe Walvis Bay protest, which happened on the 10th of December, which was initially just as a first step of tapping actually into this frustration. So I can say definitely the unhappiness of the residents have played a major role actually in where I am today.
What makes you, just for my own interest, what makes you frustrated yourself? You said you are also a frustrated resident of Walvis Bay.
After my grade 12, I had the opportunity to go study in, when I'm mentioning me going to study in Canada, is because there was no opportunities for me here in Walvis Bay. But then at the same time, because my mother was employed in the hospitality industry, she couldn't actually afford to pay for me tertiary education. Yeah. So definitely that is where my frustration has started from. And then also just trying to look for employment within the community itself, and then also just to effect change in terms of starting my own initiatives in terms of entrepreneurship. I was forced to actually leave Walvis Bay and then relocate to Windhoek for better opportunities.
And now that you are in a position, of course, not all decisions are in your hands, but you have now an opportunity to influence positive change for your community and for yourself. What would you say have been the highlights of your tenure so far?
Yeah, I would say actually my highlights of my tenure so far would be actually the appreciation by the rest, just for the little that I've done over the past 150 days, because today marks actually 150 days of me being in office. So with that, I can say people have actually been able to experience participatory democracy finally, of which they actually have a voice, and then they can also raise their concerns and share with me actually the problems that they encounter. I think creating that platform to me should be the biggest win.
And when people come to you with their problems, how is the process? How does the process work? So as a resident of Walvis Bay, I come to your office and say, my councillor, this is my situation, I need this kind of help. How do you take it from there?
Definitely, the most important thing is stakeholders engagement. Stakeholders engagement in the sense, let's say you're from the fishing sector. You're affected by retrenchment, for example. So the process, definitely, it's about me reaching out to the unions and just seeing whether they followed actually due processes to assist you as per their mandate, and also at the same time also with the Ministry of Labour, be in consultation with the Ministry of Labour to ensure that definitely you afforded the adequate platforms actually for your hearings and so on. So all this is actually different platforms that we can make use of. Also in consultation also with other regional leaders, as well as getting actually government closer to the people, which means if it's ministry related, we reach out to the ministry, as well as also with the private sector, of which we have created that bond of having a good relationship with various stakeholders, so we can be able to provide feedback as soon as possible to our people. But it is not something easy. It takes actually a whole lot of relationships and networks that needs to be built, and we are focused on that actually throughout our first 150 days as well.
Indeed. And Councillor, the fact that you are based and operating in a Swapo stronghold, Swapo may not be in power in the constituency at the moment, but Erongo as a whole is still a very Swapo dominated region. And I'm thinking here, since you did not stand on a party ticket, and as a matter of fact, we saw the letters that were flying recently between your office, the Minister of Urban and Rural Development, was it information about who has the powers to do this and that. How has it been having to negotiate your way past your competitors, if you like, in the political space?
Definitely, when you say competitors, who exactly are we referring to? Because looking at me being a regional councillor, I'm sharing a good relationship actually with all the councillors, whether it is the Swapo councillors or the UDF councillor that is serving actually on the Erongo Regional Council. At the same time, also, I share a very good relationship also with the governor of the region. But then I think one cannot rule out actually the efforts of at local level and national structures of certain individuals heads together in an attempt actually to execute what I refer to as divide and rule tactic. So that has been ongoing, and I think you have seen it all over media and so on. But then this is actually something I've been expecting, and I'm not caught off guard by it. I've prepared myself mentally about these things to happen. So with that, coming from an activist point of view, we knew actually these were potential strategies that were going to be implemented. But then in terms of getting work done, I think our works in terms related to the COVID-19, we have been the most effective councillor office within the country, and our result is self-spoken.
Indeed. And in terms of the fishermen, because also right now the subject of fishing quotas is actually at its climax, if you like. You know, there's the allocations have been made, I understand, although we do not know who exactly has been granted quotas and whatnot. How are you helping those unemployed fishermen who were fired or retrenched due to even fish rot to return back to the sea? Are you making any effort? Are you engaging anyone?
Yeah, there's activities, engagement starting definitely with the fishermen themselves, of which actually we have regular discussions and just advise each other both ways, both to me as a regional councillor and also to them also as fishermen on how to go about things. With that, we have written multiple letters to Honorable Albert Kawana at the Ministry of Fisheries, despite him not actually replying and then also not acknowledging even receipt of these letters. We have written about 4 to 5 letters to him so far ever since January. At the same time also, we have also consulted with other relevant authorities at various levels also. And also we have attempted also to direct interventions during the current parliament, of which you have seen the fishing topic have been discussed also within that. I think also if you listen to what Honorable Swapo said the other day, he had consultation also with the same fishermen, as well as also Honorable Benani has also been one of the key role players actually in consulting with different fishermen on the ground and also just to try to assist. We know also have reached out also to people in Iceland to actually try to assist this matter. So there is a whole lot of conversation going on. But then with that also, one cannot take away the efforts of the fishermen themselves. They have gone as far as registering actually an entity of which they applied fishing quotas with. At this stage, it is not clear whether this entity has been considered for the allocation of fishing quotas, but then it is the belief or the vision of the fishermen is to actually be granted their own quota so they can be working with that and to avoid being
Indeed.
exploited any further.
Yes, okay. So Councillor, since you are in that office now, I just want to see where your power lies as a councillor, not necessarily yourself as Knowledge Ipinge, but just any councillor operating in the Namibian structure. Especially when you are in a town like Walvis Bay, you have the municipality. You already that is sort of the leader of the town from that perspective, from a local authority perspective. But then you also have your office, and then of course the office of the governor. Mm-hmm. Where does power lie? Do you see a sense of overlapping duties, or how do you actually navigate your way around a structure like that for you to be effective?
Man, I think the most important task of being a regional councillor is to advocate for participatory democracy and bringing government closer to the people. Yeah. That is one of the key tasks that I'm having. Also, with the above in mind, I've been urging actually the residents of Walvis Bay to become more involved in the affairs of our office as well as regional council at large. So what we have done, we have what we call the CDC. CDC is actually what we call the Constituency Development Committee, which is an important forum where development priorities are supposed to be identified and development is disemboweled. So with that, definitely we influence the development of the constituency. We ensure that views, needs, and problems are considered of our constituents. Also to get information about developments and the way it affects actually the lives of our residents. So with that, it also presents the opportunity for us to get feedback also from government on issues of interest. So with that, I don't see how it overlaps actually with municipal operations. In fact, we are entitled to actually hold municipality accountable. It is just like with the issue of the increase of tariffs now in Walvis Bay. The Local Authority Act is very clear that consultation should be done with the regional council. Now, if you say the regional council, who is it? It is actually the 7 councillors. That constitutes actually the regional council. Now, I can put it on record that consultation has not happened. What has happened initially, municipality has actually had consultation only with the management committee, and they put it as if they've consulted the regional council. So I'm saying if it's something that I've been doing in the past, it doesn't apply now that I'm in office because I'm guided by the Act and I'm under oath in office. So with that, I've written to the chairperson of the regional council. He has replied to me, but then it's not satisfactory at this stage. And then I've went as far as consulting now the governor to get his advice, being actually the regional head in this matter. So that is actually how processes should be working.
Very loud and clear there, Councillor. So let's shift a bit the conversation to your affiliations. I know that you are serving as an independent. You are retaining, you still have, last time I checked, you still have your Swapo membership. You retain your membership of the Swapo party, but you are also an activist of the affirmative repositioning movement, which is not a political party, of course, but so from where do you draw your not your authority, but your inspiration in terms of your work? Are you inspired by the ideologies of Swapo or AR?
When you say the ideologies, okay, I think it should be loud and clear that I'm actually a Sankarist. Meaning that my ideology I draw from the likes of Thomas Sankara, who has also played a leading role in terms of advocating actually for the independence of Namibia when he spoke at the UN General Assembly in October 1984. So that is where I draw my inspiration from, and I believe with that it is very clear that AR has been following this very same ideology, also being a leftist movement. With that, I've been an AR activist ever since 2014, and today also marks a very important day in the efforts of AR, of which the 16th of June 2016, we actually marched for the new parliament, which must fall. And we have successfully actually stopped this 2.2 billion initiative that the government wanted to actually set up. So that is initially where I draw my inspiration from, and I'm not going to shy away from that. But then at the same time, it was very clear when I was campaigning, Job Amupanda himself made it very clear that he was there to just say, yes, knowledge is one of us, but then he won't be interfering in the business of Walvis Bay, meaning my authority comes from the people of Walvis Bay. My powers come from the people of Walvis Bay. And those are the only people who have authority to effect the work that I'm doing currently for the constituency, who are our residents.
Indeed. Now, something very important happened this week also that affects you in some way. So on Sunday, the ruling party Swapo called a press conference at which it announced that it will call an extraordinary Congress at which it will fix, if you like, its constitution to ensure that no party member, nobody who holds a party membership may stand as an independent. Where does it leave you and your ambitions, especially ahead of the elections this year?
You know, it is actually flabbergasting that Swapo saw the need actually of calling this press conference only after the article that the Namibian Sun actually wrote last week. So you look at these events, you can see actually this is actually reactionary politics, of which they had actually another strategy maybe in place. But then I've gone in party politics. And I've been very clear about it, and it is on record. My interest in party politics is non-existent. So moving forward, I'll be running as an independent candidate, and I don't see any, or I don't have any ambition to be part of any political structure, political party structure.
Okay, so of course you refer to our article on Friday, which actually was a very big news, if you like, for many people, looking at the reaction that came out of it, that Swapo had sent representatives to come and speak you out of standing as an independent. Can you speak to our viewers whether there has been any such advances and what your reaction has been to that?
I think actually you guys owe me actually commission for that article. You've made good money out of that article, I guess. But anyway, there has been multiple people who have tried to approach me, and not only approach me, also those close to me, family members, friends, where there has been advances to them, try to speak to Knowledge, try to convince him, whatever. So whatever their motive is, only them know. But then at this stage, as I've said, I've made it very clear to everyone, and that is a decision that I've made years back. It's not something that a decision I've made overnight. My position remains that, irrespective of what Swapo brings to the table, I'm not interested. But then, after thinking around it also, I might be able to bargain with them. If they are very serious about these things, let them guarantee me at least minimum 10,000 plots or 10,000 houses being given to the residents of Walvis Bay. Then we can sit on the table.
The final question to you.
Develop my constituency.
Okay, no. Sorry, I interrupted you there. But the final question to you, Honorable Councillor, is: do you think in the how many months now? In the 5 months that you've been in the office, you've done relatively well to convince the people of Walvis Bay Urban constituency to vote for you again in November, should you harbor such ambitions to stand again?
I can never take my foot off the pedal. That is one thing I'll never do. And I wouldn't want to be caught up actually in all this hype going on around me. With that said, definitely, I'm not going to slow down. That is actually the very first thing. I'm not planning to slow down anytime soon. Also, at the same time, I haven't done enough yet. Till such time that I'm able to provide housing to the people, till such time that I'm able to actually bring down the unemployment rate in our constituency, till such time that every young person in Walvis Bay can be actually satisfied with their lifestyle and they are actually able to get out of poverty, then only I can say I have done my job. So all these quick wins doesn't count anything for me at all.
Yeah, now, I thought that would be the last question, but now you brought me to the last question now, which is that there was a time when Hilman Nicanor, of the spokesperson of the ruling party, said that yes, Swapo might have lost some constituencies, it might have lost its two-thirds majority in last year's elections, but the fact that we are the ones still controlling the purse, we are still in charge. Do you think that there are possibilities of frustrating your efforts just to set you up for failure?
You know, you can only frustrate someone who's not innovative. So with me, definitely, I was not even moved one bit by them, because being actually a regional councillor, the money of government should not be the first priority. You look actually at ways of creating your own budget. Imagine the budget that is there for constituency development in the constituency, or all constituencies, I should say. It's 130,000 Namibian dollars. That is peanuts. I can never develop a constituency with 130,000 Namibian dollars. That's what is being earmarked for constituency development funding. Then there's now other votes that one can use. But then look at it this way. If you look at the COVID-19 situation, and I would like to draw your attention, our constituency, we have managed to raise close to 7 million from the private sector, which have pumped into the constituency. And this has gone actually towards the upgrading of the hospital facilities and ensuring there's oxygen plant. This has gone actually to providing safety clothing. This has gone towards providing food for our community members and all that. So these are all efforts from the private sector, which I was able to actually mobilize through what we call the Disaster Risk Management Committee, of which I'm the chairperson. And it's important to take note that the Disaster Risk Management Committee in Walvis Bay Urban constituency, it is a very same committee that has been existing in the tenure of the previous councillor. All I did within that community, I brought all the stakeholders together, I gave them actually my vision and informed them to say, it is our joint responsibility to get out of this. And they have been playing a major role in raising this money. So it just shows you that all you need to do is put the right structures in place in order to get work done. So I'm not moved by money from government. And I can clearly put it on record. I'm able to run this constituency without touching a cent also from government, which any other councillor in Swapo cannot do, because they are programmed in such a way to loot from government coffers, because they actually rely on this money in order to effect their corruption tendencies. And we have seen it actually happening around.
I hear you. Councillor, thank you very much for your time, and also for being our first guest on the show to speak to us via Skype. We appreciate your time, sir.
No, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. In this segment tonight, I'm joined by my colleague Esther Kamati. She's a journalist with our publication My Zone, who is here to speak to us about the virtual career expo that her team here at Namibia Media Holdings is organizing. Welcome to the show, young lady.
Thank you, Tevo. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, tell us about the virtual career expo. What is it? What is that?
Okay, so as we all know, the world is going digital. So at My Zone, which is the youth brand of Namibia Media Holdings, we normally organize a yearly career fair for the learners who want to come through and check out the various careers. Along with the career fair, we normally publish a careers magazine. So it's basically the same career fair, but this time it's going to be a virtual one due to, of course, COVID-19. Not only that, but of course, embracing digitization as well. So the career fair is going to be streamed on our platforms. On our social media platforms is where everybody can check out, what we're up to. We don't want to give away too much for now, but it's happening on the 12th of August, which is also when the career magazine will be published.
Okay. So do you have, who will be the exhibitors at the expo?
Okay, so the exhibitors, we try to personalize the careers as much as possible to make it more relatable to young people out there. So they see, oh, I saw Mr. Tevon Jabela, he's an editor of a newspaper, so one day I want to pursue that. So we're still looking at who we're going to have on the day, but we'll have a range of careers, and of course we'll have people who are available to answer any questions that the viewers, particularly students and scholars, have regarding that particular career, and we'll try to make it as interesting as possible. So I think everybody just needs to keep it locked to our social media platforms and keep engaging us as well for more information.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Esther, for that information. We'll call you back on this platform as new information and new developments take place. Please do come back and inform our viewers what that is.
We'll be glad to.
And as we build up to the 12th of August. But otherwise, thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you, Teo.
Sure.